Hi, I found my tripod. So if you see me not looking directly at the camera, that's because the camera is technically over there. So I have to remember that. And I'm watching the feed or whatever so that I can see whether or not it looks okay. And I got this like ring light there too, so you can see that bouncing off my glasses. That's pretty cool. It's my ring light's messed up. The mount doesn't work, so still working out the kinks. Episode 2. Here we go. So today I wanted to talk about what I've been playing lately, and something in particular that I think a lot of people that play games can relate to, or at least, contemporary-ish games, which is Skyrim. I've been playing Skyrim. I started a new character. It was funny, I was watching some videos about like different builds and stuff, and this one comment said, people that play Skyrim don't ever really stop playing Skyrim. They just take long breaks in between, which is funny because it feels true. I remember this game came out 2011, which is a pretty solid date to pick. And I was a sophomore in high school. So it would have been, the fall of my sophomore year. And I remember going to the midnight release and all that, and coming home that night and playing it a little bit. My first character was a Nord. I remember just coming from Oblivion, which I also love, and I'll probably talk about Oblivion sooner or later. Going to Skyrim, it was like, at the time, like if you go back to Xbox 360 Skyrim now, it's like super janky, but at the time, it seemed so more detailed and lifelike and experiential. Like it was very, very good at putting you in this world of like, I gotta try to remember to look at that, putting you in this world of, Skyrim, and you get attacked by the dragon. Obviously, leading up to it, people had seen that there was going to be dragons in it, and so I'm going to take my glasses off just so I can not have the ring light. But leading up to it, we know there's dragons, but then so there's the dragon attack in the beginning, and then I remember definitely my first playthrough, but I think for a while I never really realized that towards the end of the intro sequence, when the dragon attacks Helgen, you sort of can choose to follow it's like Ralof, who is the guy that's with you in the cart when you first wake up, like, hey, you're finally awake, which is a meme now. So many memes now. Or I don't remember the Imperial guy, but there's an Imperial guy, and I always had sort of just, I didn't see the Ralof door. It's like very far to the right, kind of. And I guess I had just like always ran through it too fast to see like they have a conversation, and I guess I, heard the conversation, but I had never like waited till the end of it where they're like, you should come with me, or like, you should come with me. And so I just had always blasted through it and went with the Imperial guy. And I remember it was funny because my first character was a Nord warrior, so pretty basic, two-handed great swords. It was a good way to just like blast through the game because you don't have to think about anything. I mean, I did like smithing and all that, but I wasn't really taking full advantage of all the systems. I was like, give me the best sword I can make and the best armor, the heaviest armor I can have, and I'm just gonna, headbutt everything to death basically. And it worked out. But so I did, the Stormcloak side of the Civil War and all that. I was doing the shouts and whatnot. So yeah, I just remember, you get Breeze Home in Whiterun, you get the first Dragon Soul, going up to the Throw the World at the 7,000 steps or whatever. And so, suffice to say, I don't want to belabor the point too much. Sorry, I'm squinting to see the time because I'm trying to keep it a little more concise. Probably like going for 30 minutes now, I think. But we'll see how that upload goes, because the other upload took a while. So I don't want to belabor the point. If anyone's watching this, they probably played Skyrim. And even if you haven't, or you're not watching it, or for posterity, we all know. We all know. But, so I started a new character. And it's funny because I had always never dabbled that much into magic. And obviously, like, I have. Like, I had, like, destruction mages and stuff like that, but I had tended to stay away from things that were super complicated. I had a, like, heavy armor, one-handed necromancer destruction character at one point, which was cool. Like the battle mage. I always liked the battle mage sort of like archetypes, even in other RPGs, where it feels more like cool, more special to have sort of like, because I think a full mage, like a pure mage, is also cool, but like the hero archetype in my mind is you have someone with sword or whatever, like typically sword and shield, but whatever's, you know, like a Aragorn or a whoever, Link from The Legend of Zelda, you know, but it's like, that's not special enough for me, I guess. It's like, you know, if you're just a totally sword and board warrior, no powers, and like obviously in Skyrim you get the shouts and blah, 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 but like what I always like to do in my, besides the first, you know, playthrough or specific playthroughs where I go that route, is I like to, if you just never absorb that first dragon, you like never go to kill the first dragon, which sort of like cuts you off from like owning Breeze Home, it cuts you off from talking to Jarl Balgruuf. But if you don't care about the main story, then it doesn't matter. But if you never get that first dragon soul, you never get shouts, and you do end up learning the words for shouts, like when you walk up to those like walls where it like sprays you with knowledge, which is kind of funny. I'm put these back on, this is bright. I don't know if that helped actually. It probably concentrates the light more into my eyeballs. But yeah, so if you avoid the first dragon, then you're just essentially playing the game as if you were a normal character, you know, like in Oblivion, your character ends up being, you know, the hero of Kvatch and the champion of Cyrodiil, and, you know, that's their sort of like title, but he doesn't have unique powers among the people, the other characters in the game. Like, he's a super powerful, whatever he or she is a super powerful, whatever you make them into be, warrior, mage, thief. But there's other warriors, mages, and thieves in the game that at least rival your character's abilities, and particularly in Oblivion, they get harder as you level. So it's just like, yeah, there's other people out there that are strong. And so in Skyrim, they went a lot more strongly towards, you are the last Dragonborn, you are the chosen one, you have special powers that no one else has, and everyone reacts to it. Everyone's amazed that you have special powers. You're a special snowflake, little extra special boy with special powers that does special things. And that's great to experience the game that way a couple times. But I overall prefer when I have made new characters, to have them be just another citizen in Skyrim, because I think that it adds a bit of uniqueness to it, which, like, you know, counterintuitively, by not being the individual chosen one, it adds, you know, a rare quality to it, but it makes it so that whatever sort of you do with that character belongs to that character. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm the last Dragonborn that became the Archmage of Winterhold, or like, oh, I'm the last Dragonborn that whatever, insert quest line here. And it's always, it keeps the world in a different place too, you know, because once you get that first soul and they're like, oh, the Dragonborn, the third of the world, all that, the Greybeards, dragons will start spawning in the world, you know, just whenever. And then you can go to certain places and find dragons that'll come out of their burial mounds and stuff like that. And if you don't absorb that first dragon soul, with the exception of that one appearance of Alduin in the intro, there's no dragons. It's like you're playing in a Skyrim that's not, you know, the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. You know, you're not in the Dragonborn world, which is really interesting to me. There might be instances where dragons do show up without you having the voice. Like, I know there's like one in the Soul Cairn in that's in the Dawnguard quest line, and I think there's one in, what is it, Blackreach, which is like a sort of like one of the underground areas where you fight the Falmer. And anyways, to wrap that point up, I started a new character with no the voice, Dragonborn powers. It's a lady, high elf lady, with a mage. So I predominantly use conjuration, I would say be the primary one. I'm really into necromancy in games. I think it's funny and fun. It's like, you know, you either get to play the bad guy, which is cool, or you're this like weirdo good guy where you're fighting an evil person, an evil sorcerer, maybe literally an evil necromancer, but you're also using necromancy. And it has different connotations in Skyrim as opposed to Oblivion, where in Oblivion it's banned by the Mages Guild but not officially outlawed, which makes it so that you can do necromancy and learn necromancy, but in the Mage Guild questline in Oblivion, they're not into that. They want to approve of those things. But in Skyrim, it's more, or rather it's less taboo, but they're not like super into it, because it really depends on like where you're necromancing, where you are acquiring the assets to necromance. Which is to say, there is actually a character in the College of Winterhold, which is the Mages Guild analog in Skyrim, that was the head scholar on conjuration in the College of Winterhold, that gets like excommunicated from the College of Winterhold because under suspicion of doing a little too much necromancy. And then you can find him in a different town in Morthal, where people are heard about it, or there's rumors of him like stealing babies and stuff, and he's like, I'm not stealing babies, I just want to mind my own business, I got kicked out of my job, like I'm just trying to chill. But that's where you find the master conjurer, is in Morthal. So primarily conjuration, and then the big sort of like kicker for me this time around is I had never really used a character that used what they call bound weapons. So like you can conjure weapons, you can conjure a sword, a battle axe, and a bow, and then eventually a dagger. You know, and so even when I've had mage characters, I either used just pure destruction and no weapon at all. You know, the destruction magic was my weapon. Or with that battle mage character, I would use just a one-handed weapon. You know, I would just do the one-handed line with gear, and I would use heavy armor, and that was sort of trying to mix the martial and the magical abilities. evenly-ish. And with this one, I wanted to definitely go a lot more magic, but I didn't really care for destruction too much. You know, I wanted the necromancer thing, so I'm conjuring, and then I conjure Atronachs when there's not a body, or when I feel like it's necessary or whatever too. Like, I'm not just like limiting myself to necromancy exclusively, because summoning demons in necromancy, it's like, you're right there. It's like you're still the same dude, really. Or same chick in this case. And so I use the conjured, or the bound blade, the bound sword, and then I raise the dead. I use the, like, there's like armor, quote unquote armor spells, you know, pop that, you know, and then just because I've been using magic more, it's been a lot more feasible for me to pick up sort of other smaller spells here and there that I wouldn't have if I wasn't concentrating so much on magic, because I put more points into my total magic pool stat, which, you know, obviously you can't really do if you're a pure warrior. Like, you can do like some basic stuff, which is funny because like the basic stuff is shooting fire out of your hands, and it's like that's just like considered like kind of a normie move in that world, which is hilarious. Or a novice skill, but so not everyone can actually shoot fire out of their hands. But even with like a battle mage sort of character, you're kind of putting a lot into your health as well, putting points in your armor, so you don't just have a lot of leeway to, you know, just pick up any sort of random spell and be able to do it. Like, you know, I don't really do destruction at all, but I have like alteration, I have a couple illusion skills, I have a couple restoration skills, you know what I mean? And so even though I'm focusing on conjuration, with the exception of destruction, my mage character is pretty well-rounded, which is kind of not exactly what you want to do, but eventually you end up in Skyrim learning a lot more anyways. It's kind of just like how the game is built. But so yeah, so like normally I'll go into a dungeon, I have like the magic armor, my sword out, raising people from the dead. I've been rolling around with not a companion, but a follower. I have the Housecarl from Morthal is Valdemar, and he's excuse me, he's interesting because he is actually a pretty much battle mage himself. Like, he's one of the few characters that are followers that will sort of use one-handed and destruction. So it's been cool bopping around with him. My character really is not super strong head to head, like one-on-one with like regular sort of minions, and even the sort of like second and sometimes third tier like grunt type enemies, mobs. You know, my character can hang, but once there's like a couple of them, you know, or like obviously like certain boss characters like bandit chiefs are like okay, but you know, like dragon priests or whatever, like my character can't really hang that much 1v1 yet. I'm hoping that balances out a little more once she levels up, get some better spells, which is funny because like I have some we're getting there with the spells already, so I'm like running out of runway here, but I'm hoping that the sort of higher end expert level perks really round that out. But yeah, so she can't really hang that well in like face-to-face combat, but it's like that's kind of not what she's supposed to be doing anyways. Like, she's like a summoner, so like she kind of is supposed to hang back and summon Atronachs or raise people from the dead, and I have my follower with me to go in there and sort of take some of the heat off of me so I can run around and dodge fireballs and try to raise people from the dead that my buddy kills. And it's a good time, you know, it's a good time running around exploring, you know, like I always like just sort of going in a direction and trying to go through any caves that I find on the way and just keep going. Sorry, there's gonna be a weird cut there. My phone ran out of storage, so hopefully I have enough storage for this and I upload the video, and then you'll be watching this and everything will be fine. So that's my build. Necromancy, summoning, bound blade, one-handed. Alteration has all the armor things. A bit of restoration because there's some necromancy related stuff in there, and just healing is beneficial. No destruction. I was going to say where I've been in Skyrim, why I've been enjoying Skyrim, why I wanted to talk about Skyrim now, and what I think about it 13 years later. Is that right? Which is crazy. But obviously I was a high school kid when this came out. I was like 15, so I'm almost 30 now, so that makes sense. And I'd imagine that there's going to be games that are coming out now that I'm going to talk about in this way 13 years from now, although nothing quite like Skyrim. You know, the only thing that's like that much of a fixture in my life like Skyrim is Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? Like, if Call of Duty could have pulled off sort of having some sort of platform and then it like kept going in that way, like I guess Destiny kind of did do that in a way as well. So like, I'm not as big on Destiny though. Like, I definitely like it and played it a good amount, but in terms of like me personally in my life, games that I've spent a lot of time in over the past 13 years that aren't a bunch of separate, you know, discrete games, it's Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto, which is crazy because Grand Theft Auto at least has online, you know, so that has additions and you know, iterations on it, and Skyrim doesn't. You know, I mean, there's been updates, and the sort of like anniversary edition and the special edition or whatever like have essentially paid mods added into them and stuff like that, but the differences are pretty small beyond quality of life things and, you know, performance. And with Grand Theft Auto, it's like I have played a lot of the single player. I really have. I've beaten the single player, you know, story narrative at least 6 times, probably more, and I probably will again, especially before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, which to date this video about 1.5 years away. I think it's going to come out not this coming fall because it's spring now, so not this coming fall, but the one after that in 2025. This is 2024. So coming back again, it's been a while. Sorry, I'm looking at my emails. Probably relatively not that long, honestly, but enough time to get that itch when you see like a video or something and you're like, man, like I should go just check it out, you know, like let me just see what happens. And what's funny is like when I actually went back to make this new character, I had seen that I had 2 other new characters that I had started, you know, on this profile, you know, because my last games were on PlayStation. I'm on Xbox now for the meantime. And I had seen that I had sort of started to get into that and bounced off of it 2 different times, which is funny because this time I really haven't, you know, like those other characters were like level 2, 5, maybe, probably not, you know, which is still pretty early. And especially because you're leveling up pretty fast in the beginning. And this character I have is level 20, you know, so I'm now a lot further in, and it has hooked me. I am into it. I'm enjoying it. It happens to be what I want to play, like when I'm not playing games, or I set aside some time to play games. Like that's what I think about playing. And I've been playing other stuff a little bit. I briefly tried Tom Clancy's XDefiant today, which came out today. I've been playing some Smite. I'm not a MOBA guy, but Smite just makes it really fun. It's almost like the Smash Brothers of MOBAs. Like it's not really casual. Like Smash Brothers isn't really casual for a fighting game either. It's just different. You know, there's 2D fighters and there's 3D fighters. And then Smash Brothers is a platform fighter, and there's other platform fighters now, but really for a long time, it was just Smash, and today it really still is kind of just Smash, but what I mean is Smite is sort of this sidestep of what most other MOBAs are, and I find it to be really fun and enjoyable, and it's like got a lot of variety while still being like casual. You can sort of just like jump in and bop around and you still feel like you're sort of progressing, but without it being like super dire. Like they have a lot of, you know, more casual modes, and like I guess League has casual modes and stuff too, but like they really want you to play the like 3-lane classic MOBA thing. I just personally, like, I get that I don't get that, but from my point of view, I find League to be like limiting, because it's like you have to play your lane with a certain amount, like a certain character or character type. And I understand that like learning the rules sort of lets you break the rules in like a lot of different ways. It's like, you know, once you know exactly how to do one role, then you can sort of like paint with all the colors of the wind once you figure it out. But so I've been playing Smite, not to tangent about Smite, but Skyrim is the thing that like I think about and I want to explore, because it's just so open. And you know, like Breath of the Wild's open and Elden Ring is open, and Elden Ring will eventually probably be its own video, because that game is amazing too. But there's something about Skyrim and the way it puts you in the world, the way you interact with the world, who you are and who you can be and who the characters are, and you know, the different interactions that you have just made it so special for all this time. And like I'm not even someone that like plays on PC and loads it up with mods where it's like legitimately can be a whole new game, or at the very least a huge facelift. Like I've played the re-releases where it's, you know, 60 frames per second now and stuff like that, but like I'm still for the most part playing vanilla, or like, you know, with all the DLC, nothing super modded. And you can have mods on Xbox now and less mods on PlayStation, but still. And I haven't messed around with that too much. Something weirds me out about it, like, hey, it's gonna turn off achievements and you have to have the load order right, or it might mess things up. And it's weird because it's like, why would I care about, you know, trophies or achievements for a game that I've played for 13 years and still haven't gotten all the trophies and achievements for anyways? And it's like, you could just play it a certain way and make it different, more enjoyable, more refreshing. But something kind of tweaks me about that. And then the other thing about it, like, it's all sort of community made, and so like the quality, you can't really trust it, even though you can't really trust the quality of all AAA developers, especially including Bethesda Game Studios either. But it's I don't know, maybe one day, 13 years from now or 5 years from now, when I make another character again or whatever, it's probably not gonna be 5 years, it's gonna be like 2 or less, I'll mess with mods more once they re-release it on PlayStation 6 or Xbox Cubed or whatever they call it, Xbox to the X power, because their names are stupid. That's the joke there. It's their names. Their naming conventions and nomenclature is confusing, and it irritates me. But I'm broaching my cutoff point here for my time, I think. So I'm gonna wrap this up just by saying that if you listen to this, I hope I inspired you to play Skyrim, and if you're over Skyrim and you listen to this, I don't know why. And I'll have more to talk about next week. So once again, don't have a sign off. If you watch this and you want to comment in the comment section what I should what I should use as my sign off, go ahead, because I guarantee that no one's going to watch this and get to this point in the video and actually have an opinion about it. But maybe one day they will, and I'll keep reiterating at the end of these videos what my tagline should be. Or, you know, as things progress, I'll probably think about it and bounce some ideas off some people. But it's also not that deep. You know, this is a casual thing by a casual person for casual reasons with very minimal setup anyways. Like, you're lucky that I even found and whipped out this tripod here. and this ring light. So that's going to increase the quality 20-fold relative to last week's video. And when I upload this, I'm wondering if it's going to revert back to 360p again. I'll have to figure out what I did or did not do correctly, because I would like it to be at least 1080. You know, like I don't need 4K 60 for a video of me talking directly with the camera, but 360p, it's a pretty bad look, you know. Not even 480p or 720p, it is 360p. But also the audio is okay, like you can hear me talk, it's fine. But anyways, I'm going over my time limit that I've set for myself, so here we are, and here I've been.